What's going on, everybody? So I'm gonna have to tell you a quick story before we get into this video. So basically last night I was in Discord with my friends and I kept cutting out because my old Rode mic was just, I think it was reaching the end of its lifetime, to be honest. It's had a hard life of me screaming into it at video games and banging on it and being stupid with it, so you know, it naturally cuts out every now and then. It was doing so a little bit more than usual last night, so I got pretty mad and I unplugged it and took the mic and I slammed it against the edge of my desk about 8 or 9 times, so needless to say, it does not pick up audio anymore. Thankfully, I have a backup mic. I have this Rode. No, I'm just kidding. It's not a Rode. I'm probably never going to use another Rode mic again, but I actually have a Blue Yeti, so that's what you're hearing me on right now. The audio might sound a little bit different, but this is the microphone going forward. So yeah, today, let's get back into another video, I guess. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Now, today, I want to talk about Rick and Morty, which is actually, ironically, one of my favorite shows. I'm a huge fan of Rick and Morty, and it's kind of hard to say that in 2020 after all of the, just absolute idiots of the fan base came out. Now there's all the copy pastas, to be fair, you have to have a high IQ, and things like that, right? So Rick and Morty fans basically have this, I guess, stigma around them as just being, like, stuck-up idiots who, like, just love Reddit and whatnot, so the show has been kind of ruined in a way by that kind of behavior, but I mean, it's still pretty fun to watch in my opinion, so, I like to watch Rick and Morty from now and again. Then, there's this stuff going around on the internet right now, and this is, ironically also, something that was brought up years ago, so, people are trying to cancel Rick and Morty, okay? There are some people who legitimately want the show canceled, and there's some people who are just trying to cancel the show in social media terms. Now keep in mind, as of right now, the show isn't actually canceled, right? Like, it's still airing. They're going to be making new episodes of it unless some shocking announcement comes out. It's one of the more popular shows on TV right now, so, it's doing pretty well. But a lot of people are upset about something that honestly isn't, like, it's not something that I'd look at and I'd be like, wow, that's funny, right? Like, that's normal. But you have to keep in mind that back at this time, especially on the internet and with that kind of segment of culture, humor wasn't really like what it is today. So I don't know if it's really fair to judge it in the same prospect. But anyway, Dan Harmon, which is the co-creator of Rick and Morty, he did a sketch for Channel 101, which was a comedy sketch festival. And this was all the way back in 2009, keep in mind. This has been 11 years ago, almost 12 now, in which this whole thing took place that people are mad about. So basically, it's a disturbing video of him doing some very weird stuff with a baby doll, okay? It's a pretty creepy video, honestly. I've seen it before. It's not funny. I mean, that's definitely true, but once again, I'm not necessarily sure that it's fair to try and paint it under the same brush as you would as something today, right? So, I mean, you gotta think, right? Because, I mean, I was alive in 2009. I was on the internet in 2009. Humor and sketch comedy and stuff like that, it's not even close to the same thing now. I mean, there's completely different standards for what's funny and what's not funny. Clearly, things that were done then would be viewed offensive now. I mean, it's crazy how much the internet honestly has kind of grown up over the last decade or so, because like I said, I was on the internet in 2009 in 4th grade, and I was just seeing some wild shit, right? I was just seeing things that I probably should not have been seeing, but that's just how the internet was then. So this clip has resurfaced once before. Back in 2018, people were really mad and they brought this whole thing back to light. And there was a lot of talk about actually having the show shut down at that point, and maybe if they were going to continue it, firing Dan Harmon. Now, with this situation, well, honestly, with most situations, but this one in particular, I feel like people can't understand the fact that, for some reason, in 2009, it was okay to do things online and make jokes online that weren't okay or to make jokes about now. I mean, let's keep it $1.50, bro. Like, if a YouTuber got on here in 2009 and did the same shit, it would have had, it had views. People would have thought it was funny. It would have had likes. I mean, you look at something like Shane Dawson, right? He's become like this disgraced YouTuber, but back in the day, what he was doing was viewed funny by a lot of people, and it fit in with internet culture. It doesn't make it funny now, it didn't make it funny then, necessarily, but I think to look at something that was, like, made as a joke 11 years ago, and then to try and compare it now, dude, you can't really do that. Like almost like, think of it like George Carlin, right? He made a lot of crazy jokes, and honestly, I find a lot of them funny now. But dude, people, if they heard, like, if someone did George Carlin's stand-up in 2020, dude, people would have lost their minds. There would be articles everywhere. I mean, you see shit like Dave Chappelle with that special he did last year. that was pretty tame. And dude, there was an article out of every publication disgracing Dave Chappelle. Can you believe what Dave Chappelle said in his recent special? Like, I get we as a society have, like, kind of, I guess, turned up on jokes and dark humor and whatnot, but it's kind of ridiculous, I think, to full-on try to cancel a show that was co-created by somebody for a disgusting joke that they made 11 years ago, right? And when it comes down to it, like, you gotta think about the fact, right? Who hasn't made a shitty joke in their life before? Am I gonna sit here and pretend like I've never said some fucked up shit? No. Am I gonna sit here and pretend like I've never made a distasteful joke in my life? No. Because honestly, I probably still make them. But of course, I wouldn't go as far as doing what this guy did. Then again, once again, internet is not the same. So when it comes down to it, right, like, what do you do in a situation like this, right? Rick and Morty is one of the most popular shows on TV, and this guy made a disgusting joke over a decade ago. What do you do, right? Honestly, I don't really think anything needs to be done, and here's why. Forget the fact that, like, it's been 11 years ago, right? This has already resurfaced once before, and the whole situation was resolved. This whole situation basically was settled. Dan Harmon has already apologized for this. So we've gotten to the point where, like, this outrage mob who just wants to cancel everything, trying to find something to complain about every 5 minutes, they're basically now having to recycle shit. Like, they're just now trying to re-dig up things from the past that they, already have their, I guess, their quell about, and they're trying to make it an issue again, right? I mean, how many times does someone have to apologize before it becomes enough? You know what I'm saying? How many times does somebody have to say, like, hey, what I did 11 years ago was wrong, doesn't really represent what I would do now, please forgive me for doing it, it was a completely different time, and I don't agree with what I did. How many times does someone have to say that before these people online finally just shut up, right? It gets ridiculous at a certain point because, the thing with cancel culture, most of the time at least, is you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Because, you get caught for something you said a few years ago, right? Honestly, it's kind of understandable to a certain extent. Like, yeah, it really does depend on what people are doing. Like, a lot of what Shane Dawson was doing was just honestly unacceptable. And he had such a track record for doing it repeatedly that, like, questions did kind of need to be brought up about it. But from what we know, this is a one-off sketch made by Dan Harmon from over a decade ago. So I'm not sure that necessarily represents him now. But of course, cancel culture, they see something that you did however long ago, and even if you apologize for it, oh, your apology isn't sincere. We don't accept your apology because insert reason here. So at this point, cancel culture, they don't allow you to take accountability, and they don't ever, I guess, interpret personal growth. So at this point, what does Dan Harmon do? You know what I'm saying? At this point, how can he get away from this? He can't. It's basically set in stone that people are going to be mad about this forever. Now, do they kick Dan Harmon off the show? I don't know. Will that destroy the creative integrity of this show over some shit that he already apologized for? If so, I don't really think that that's a very reasonable thing to do. Because you gotta consider Rick and Morty's, like, primary demographic. Most of them already don't really give a fuck about messed up humor. Most people who are honestly mad about this are people who I would say either watch the show very occasionally or don't watch it at all. And then you have to consider, like, the shit that's in Rick and Morty, right? Like, you got there's an episode where Rick literally has several, like, mini-verses that all contribute to slave labor to power his car battery. And then they constantly attempt to evolve to create their own mini-verses to power themselves, then have slave labor, okay? You got episodes where they go onto planets where there's literally a purge that goes on and people are slaughtered en masse. And other godforsaken crimes occur on these planets. Like, there's already kind of dark humor littered in the show. Most people who are watching it, I don't think, care about a sketch that happened over a decade ago, that has already been apologized over, so I don't think they're gonna cancel this show anytime soon. Looks like cancel culture's target is one of those ones that they just can't hit again. And that's what I never understand about it in the first place, right? Because they find something new every 5 minutes, right? To get mad about, to get upset about, to try and, I guess, witch hunt. But, like, they can't get any of this stuff to fail, right? Like, they can't shut any of these people down. They can't kill their careers. They can't get shows canceled. It doesn't matter. Like, at this point, cancel culture has, like, a worse record than the Cleveland Browns in most NFL seasons recently, dude. Like, they're not on point, man. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, am I going to continue to watch Rick and Morty after what happened? Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, one fucked up sketch from the co-creator over a decade ago, when I was in 4th grade, keep in mind, does not represent the entirety of that show. It doesn't represent the thought process of all the writers and other staff on that show. It doesn't represent the quality of that show. So no, I'm not gonna sit here and stop watching Rick and Morty because a bunch of idiots on the internet got upset. And to a certain extent, do I understand why people who especially would see this for the first time, why they would get upset? Sure. But you would think like you could do a quick Google search about this situation, and articles from the last 2 years would be popping up about it that talk about how he's already apologized for this, and then you'd be like, well, that's a pretty reasonable thing. Maybe I shouldn't be mad about this, but I don't really know. That's really all I have to say in this video, though. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, gonna go watch Rick and Morty probably, and signing out.